Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so especially excited about today's guest. If you have children, grandchildren, maybe you're a Sunday school teacher or you have neighbor kids, this is going to be an author and a book you need to know about. Let's just bring the author in, Mary Virginia McCormick Pittman, otherwise known as Mama Magina. Welcome.
And thank you so much. I'm so glad to be with all of you today.
First of all, Mary Virginia, how'd you get the name Mama Magina?
Well, let's see. I have a wonderful, lovely granddaughter. And so my name is Mary Virginia. So therefore, what was she going to call me? So we came up with Magina.
I love it. A
And
lot
then
easier
we
to
put the
say.
mama with it as well. So Mama
Sure.
Magina.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, I can't wait to talk to you about your book, Four-Legged
Thank you.
Heroes, the Mama Magina books. What's the message, the overall message that you're sharing in
Uh,
this book?
the book is intended for children to learn how to empower themselves, to take on those wonderful, wonderful, noble characteristics that our animals have. Our wild animals are, you can't go against science, and wild animals take care of their own. Each species, they never betray, only humans betray. The
Wow.
wild animals have these noble characteristics, and they live them, and they are true to them. It has to do with love. It has to do with taking care of your elderly, taking care of the young, teaching what to do, how to do it. And yes, there is punishment at times when children don't behave, what have you, but it's never brutal. It always has to do with get their attention and don't
Mm-hmm.
ever do it again.
Hmm.
And so, therefore, we have like elephants that take care of their young, they take care of their elderly, they take care of their wounded, they even have burials. You have the wolves that have a wolf pack, all do the same. And it's tremendous what animals do. They take care of one another and they are loyal to one another. And they have these individual characteristics that we humans are supposed to have, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we give them away. So when children
Yeah.
though can relate to animals in all sorts of ways, so you can teach children the truth about living their own life and coming up with their own empowerment of ideas and dreams and fruition, what have you, by looking at how the animals behave and want to
Mm.
do the same thing.
The
Because
bonds, the
yeah,
bond that they have with it. Let's talk about the parent-child, the bond that's there.
the tie that binds is supposed to be. In other words, parent and child relationship is so important and so imperative to that first time you're born all the way up through, early adulthood. And there's a shift in that these days. We still have the wonderful parents out there doing the same love learning that we had the opportunity to grow up with. Well, now we're having a shift a little bit in society in such a way that happening is that we now are having children to grow with pain learning because the way the parents are using money and substituting that for guidance, time, quality, understanding, all the things. And we don't know why that's happening, but it is happening. And there's one thing for certain: we have to make it right for the next generation. We have to make it right. Humanity demands it, and certainly our children deserve it. So, my book is intended for parents as well when they read the sheet that I have in there to take individual characteristics and isolate them and then talk about each one to the children and how it affects not only the child but how it affects the entire family and how the entire family can use it to bond and make that solid
Mm-hmm.
situation so that children will begin to grow up and come, instead of being frightened and instead of being turned to thinking that they're not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they began to grasp those spiritual things that empower them to make their own dreams come true and to make
Mm-hmm.
fruition, which not is only good for them, but it's good for humanity.
So I'm assuming that when you talk about the parents are paying the children, basically? Are you talking about with technology? They've turned their parenting over to phones and games and television and all this noise. Is that what you're referring to?
That's one of the things I'm referring to, because they're substituting their own time with their children by giving them money, letting the children do whatever they want to do with the money. And of
Mhm.
course, children in today's technology, when we used to have radio,
Right.
radio made you have a vision of what you're listening to. So children began to be innovative and creative. Well, now they're just doing what is being thrown out at them.
Mhm.
And it's wrong. And it doesn't have the bonding for children to not
Right.
only with each other, with their parents, what they're doing. They're frightened. And when they become frightened, they have no one to run to,
Mm.
because if the parents are not understanding, well, then therefore, what are they running into? They're running into a constant angst from parents that are taking it out on the children. And now we're having children that are actually thinking that they are worthless. And
Yeah.
we're having children who are committing suicide.
Yeah.
That's unthinkable. It's appalling.
Yeah.
We can't let those things happen. We've got to
No,
get
I was just going to say you bring up such a good point, because as children back in our day, we would be outside and we'd have to come home when the street lights came on. And there's something about learning and growing and getting on that foundation of you work
that's
out
right.
fights and arguments out on the playground and out in the
Yes,
woods and climbing trees. What's
absolutely.
happening to children now when they're all tied into technology and they're really isolated? So I think this is such a smart book, and to look at animals and the animal world and how they care and how they protect and how they, even in their own way, let their children know that they're valued. That's what I hear
Exactly.
you saying.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. And we even did an experiment with the school in Arkansas to see what children would think about this book, especially in a group of children that had very bad habits, seriously bad habits. And in 2 weeks' time, they related, they caught it, they got what the book meant. And all of
Wow.
a sudden, several of the children who had been the worst in the class were suddenly saying thank you to the teacher for doing something that she did.
Wow.
So we said,
Wow.
okay, we've got a hold of it now. We've got
Yes.
to keep going with that. And we've got parents to get a hold of it too.
Yeah.
And they've got to say, take this book, and it's that sheet we have in the book to where parents talk to their children about each individual characteristic, what it means, and not only what it means to the children, but what it means to the parent and how you use it for the entire family. We
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
learn to give quality of time to our children. And I know that's hard because you have parents, now we have parents both have to work
Yeah.
and provide for their family. Well, it would be good if we started thinking about, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to divide. We are going, some child is going to have a time with one parent for an hour on Tuesday, Thursday, another child with the mother. We can work time frame
Sure. Sure.
because you can't take children as just as a group. They need to be individually because they're individuals, and you need to handle them in that manner.
Mama Magina, we've got about 30 seconds left. Let's talk about how important grandparents are in a child's life.
Grandparents are everything. They're precious and they are essential. They give children an anchor to stand with,
Mm.
and that provides a force for the entire family, such a legacy. And that's people are moving away from that out of jealousy and ugliness and what have you. We've got to put grandparents back into the picture and make families good and gather
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
love and hold on to each other.
Yeah. And that faith that comes from the wisdom of
Absolutely.
grandparents a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Well, we are talking to Mary Virginia McCormick Pittman, otherwise known as Mama Magina, who was represented by Book Trail Agency. And we thank you so much. For those that are listening to the interview, where is the book available?
With Amazon and with Barnes and Noble, and you can order it from any bookstore in America and the UK, and as I understand, even foreign countries in France.
That's wonderful. We need to change the world, right? One reader at a
Absolutely.
time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mama Magina, thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Suzanne, and God
Thank you.
bless all that are listening to this program.
Bless you, friend.
Faith with purpose and intent.